Deadly Premonition is a third-person psychological horror that involves you playing as FBI agent Francis York Morgan. The Twin Peaks-like story is based on the murder of the fictional Anne Graham. After being tied up to a tree and essentially bled to death by a vicious killer, York decides to go investigate to the town of which she was murdered in, Greenvale. On the way, he gets distracted, and before you know it, he's left in the forest with terrifying, grudge-looking zombies. You're left with nothing to do but continue along the guided path with nothing but certain items you can weaponize from the ground, your quick-wits, and a gun with conveniently unlimited ammo. How can this game possibly go wrong? Well, let's just say this game's good, but it gets a whopping amount of things wrong. The shooting mechanics, for instance. It feels awkward whenever you use your gun. The controls are wonky, aiming is weird, and it just doesn't feel as natural as it should be. But this changes little in this suspenseful mystery. Now, my first thoughts on Deadly Premonition were the graphics were outdated, the movement and combat elements felt weird, and it just didn't feel like a 2013 game. I decided to keep playing, only to be bombarded with awkwardness. Believe me, Deadly Premonition gets a good amount of things right, like the story, but gets more things wrong. When your avatar talks to people, the conversations aren't just weird and silent, but they're astoundingly awkward, particularly for a modern game. This game gets many things right, but never lives up to its full potential. The developers could have probably updated the graphics, combat, cutscenes, and the driving. Yeah, the driving. That was crap. The controls were pretty good, but definitely not for a game of this generation. The cars look boxy and unfurnished. Yes, there was a free roam. Hooray, free roam. Thanks, Deadly Premonition. Yet, it wasn't at all what I expected. Sure, you get to do sweet things like fish, and yes, it was enjoyable for about 10 minutes. The free roam in this game was mostly just roads and roads and roads. And more roads. You couldn't even go off-road, which was awful. It was glitchy and still weird kind of artsy. This is a game where you have to command your avatar to look at a cup of coffee with interest. So yeah, it gets pretty weird. Not weird as in, oh look at this painting. It's so mysterious and weird. Truly suspenseful. Whereas this game is just weird. Weird as in getting paid to shave. Weird as in side quests that can reward you from magical voodoo dolls to guitars and light swords used as melee weapons. These exotic weapons may sound fun, but trust me, it's a riot. I honestly don't think I've laughed more at any other game in my life, and trust me, I've played some weird voodoo. All in all, Deadly Premonition is a PS2 worthy game with gameplay as awkward as its graphics and dialogue. While its story may compel you to go forward with the game to completion, you will be constantly held back by the gameplay. I hope to see a more modern version of the game in the future, for its story is good, but no game can ever match the sheer weirdness that is Deadly Premonition.